cannot accept a weak deal like Minsk, which Russia can breach with ease. Instead, any deal must be backed by strength. Every nation must contribute to that in the best way that it can, bringing different capabilities and support to the table, but all taking responsibility to act, all stepping up their own share of the burden. So we agreed some important steps today. First, we will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. Second, we agreed that any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security, and Ukraine must be at the table. Third, in the event of a peace deal, we will keep boosting Ukraine's own defensive capabilities to deter any future invasion. Fourth, we will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. Not every nation will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back. Instead, those willing will intensify planning now with real urgency. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing. We're working with the US on this point after my meeting with President Trump last week. And let me be clear, we agree with the President on the urgent need for a durable peace. Now we need to deliver together. Finally, we agreed that leaders will meet again very soon to keep the pace behind these actions and to keep working towards this shared plan. We are at a crossroads in history today. This is not a moment for more talk. It's time to act, time to step up and lead, and to unite around a new plan for a just and enduring peace. We are at a crossroads in history today. This is not a moment for more talk.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer did not mince words on Sunday about the stakes facing Ukraine and Europe at a summit of world leaders in London.
It's time to act, time to step up and lead.
The summit drew world leaders to support Ukraine and its president Volodymyr Zelensky in the fourth year since Russian forces invaded the neighboring country. Leaders hoped to work toward a peace plan that would end the fighting and guarantee future Ukrainian independence.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards.
But overhanging Sunday's summit was Friday's fiery Oval Office face-off that appeared to shred relations between Washington and Kyiv.
You're gambling with World War III.
Years of staunch American support for Ukraine and its fight against a Russian invasion appeared to evaporate when U.S. President Donald Trump, who returned to the White House deeply critical of Washington's support for Kyiv, erupted in anger at Zelensky.
If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
Rather than offering support for an American ally valiantly resisting an unprovoked attack by its larger neighbor, Trump instead castigated the visiting leader, admonishing him to accept the difficult position his country was in. It ended with the visit cut short, and Trump posting on social media that Ukraine was not ready to make peace. The affair sent shockwaves through American allies and prompted pleased responses from American rivals.
Трамп, он прагматик. Вот это его лозунг «здравый смысл».
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov praised Trump's, quote, common-sense approach. The president of Finland said the only winner in the dispute was Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
At the end of the day, there was only one winner of that exchange, that was Vladimir Putin. Having said all of that, probably a wake-up call. And, the conversations that I've had since in the past 72 hours are pretty much about, let's move on, let's get back on track, let's see what diplomacy can do. And I'm quite convinced that the meeting that we have here in London today is going to give us the first baby steps back to the table.
Our starting point must be to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position now.
Trying to revive hope for peace in Ukraine, Starmer on Sunday unveiled what he called a coalition of the willing, a group of nations willing to put personnel on the line to defend a peace deal if reached.
The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting.
And he announced a $2 billion deal to supply British-made air defense missiles to Ukraine.
I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States.
Trump has upended U.S. policy in the 3-year-old war since he returned to the White House in January, casting doubt on its military and political support for Ukraine and Europe, and ending the isolation of Moscow.
Through my discussions over recent days, we've agreed that the UK, France and others will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting. Then we'll discuss that plan with the United States and take it forward together. The purpose of today's meeting was to unite our partners around this effort, to strengthen Ukraine and to support a just and enduring peace for the good of all of us. Our starting point must be to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position now, so that they can negotiate from a position of strength, and we are doubling down in our support. Yesterday evening, the UK signed a £2.2 billion loan to provide more military aid to Ukraine, backed not by the British taxpayer, but by the profits from frozen Russian assets. And today I'm announcing a new deal, which allows Ukraine to use £1.6 billion of UK export finance to buy more than 5,000 air defence missiles, which will be made in Belfast, creating jobs in our brilliant defence sector. This will be vital for protecting critical infrastructure now and strengthening Ukraine in securing the peace when it comes.
What we also see is European countries really ramping up to help with security guarantees for the moment when a peace deal would be struck. Obviously there is no deal yet, there is no ceasefire yet, but we have to prepare for that moment and making sure that European countries are willing to help out with these security guarantees, and here I really saw quite a number of countries at this table. Of course, the initiative being taken by the United Kingdom and France, but others wanting to help. But of course, this discussion is at this moment taking place. You saw Keir Starmer this morning at the BBC in an interview. That discussion is going on, and the Americans rightly say, well, first we need a peace deal before there is a deal, a peace which has to be kept. I understand that. But at the same time, we have in parallel to make sure that when a deal arises, and is struck, that we stand ready, and Europe will play a big role here to make sure that that deal, that peace can be maintained. I've spoken many times with President Trump. He's a good friend. We worked now for 8 years together, so 4 years when he was president first time, and we stayed in touch when he was out of the presidency, and of course we have now re-engaged very actively again. And he is totally committed, as he said many times, to Article 5, to NATO, so please let's stop gossiping about what the US might or might not do. They are in NATO, they are committed to NATO, they're committed to Article 5. This is what they consistently say, including Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary, the President himself.
L'importante messaggio che andiamo è che vogliamo pace per Ucraina e fine la guerra, però non costi come propongono Stati Uniti e Russia. Vogliamo pace giusta, vogliamo nostra terra, che tutti i soldati russi si tornano a casa sua e si parla per la pace. Solo per questo siamo qua.
Lui non deve fare proprio politica, non capisce cosa dice. Io posso dire solo che tutte le domande e il modo come hanno fatto è una grande vergogna. Loro vogliono prendere nostra terra e quelle cose che è dentro terra, no? Ma non esiste proprio.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.